Thanks. Well, efforts to pass a long-delayed farm bill through Congress hit a roadblock in the U.S. Senate today. Democrats on the Senate Agriculture Committee were able to vote down a Republican-led version of the farm bill. They rejected the bill over changes to the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program that would see states share the cost of providing benefits. The Republican chairman of the committee says he plans to revisit the bill when lawmakers return from their August recess. Siouxland senators reacted to the news this afternoon.
The Democrats on the committee are using our farmers as a sacrificial lamb in an attempt to score political points. Democrats' obstruction leaves the farm bill's fate in jeopardy, while family farmers desperately need our help.
This farm bill is like many farm bills. It has lots of moving parts. And, in the end, you always try as best you can. There's some regional differences, and there are 12 titles in every farm bill. 80 to 85% of the spending in farm bills are in the nutrition title, and there are a lot of members on the committee who care deeply about that, as do we. This is a program designed to help people who need help with food assistance. It's not a program designed to be gained by states or to be a place where there's fraudulent behavior or abuse. The Democrats are resisting, and even with a one-year delay, they're still blocking it.
U.S. Senator Deb Fischer of Nebraska also blasted Democrats for the vote, saying in a statement, "It is disgraceful Democrats refused to advance the bipartisan farm bill out of committee. They voted against every policy they claimed to care about, funding food banks, improving rural and mental health services, increasing access to safe drinking water, and expanded broadband connectivity. This is a massive disservice to producers and communities across the country. I certainly hope they wake up and realize the pain this will inflict on American families."